Hey everybody, here's just a test to see what resolution I can share my gravity well maps at. I think I can push it up to 1080 resolution for a live stream. This right now is a look at just the earthquakes and the blue and yellow line patterns. If you've seen my shows about earthquakes before, usually the X around Oklahoma marks the earthquake pattern. The X around this, and the X here in the center. Right now we've just been getting mostly here, a little bit here, a little bit there. It was neat that this was a mining explosion, registered as an earthquake, 3.6. And I find that neat is because that's near where my haunted house is up north. My haunted house is near this sacred holy mountain. Here's the holy mountain. Here's my haunted house. Oh, there it is. So if anyone ever wants to visit my haunted house, this is roughly where it is. I won't show you exactly which house it is because I can't remember which one, but it is near here. Or no, I think it was near here. That's where it was near. Alright, so my haunted house is very close to here. Boy, this person has a nice pool. So that's what I want to do. I want to soup up my place so it'll be one of the nicest places up here. So hopefully it doesn't get robbed all the time. Yeah, because you could have a swimming pool a few months a year. Just the rest of the year it's like hell. Hell on earth. Anyway, so that's where my place is. There's where the earthquake was. Not too far away. What they're mining for around here is this is the gold strip. There's a lot of gold in Timmins, a lot of gold here, and all the places in between. Including the Holy Mountain. Thankfully, people aren't allowed to dig there. So that's where a lot of gold is. Now sometimes I like to talk about the gold in different lines. I think maybe this is one of the gold lines, this red one here. Through Portugal, through the Congo. So if anyone hasn't seen my gravity well map, this is what it looks like in HD, 1080. You can almost see the outline here and why it's here. This blue gravity well. Even the river wraps around it, right? Now my gravity well map also interacts with the weather, so that's one of the things I'll turn on next. See how it's been interacting. Yeah, a little bit of a circle around that one. It's a pretty good formation around that one. Oh, it looks like the red line pattern is off today. Usually there's a red line going across there. Nothing today. Yeah, usually the biggest red lines or biggest lines will be red. So I'll check red line patterns occasionally. Hey, what's up, Q? Just testing out my gravity well research to see how it looks in HD. Now it seems like my computer is able to code most of it, as long as I don't turn it up to 4K. As soon as I get it up to 4K, then it starts fucking up. Hong Kong, Pyongyang, Beijing. Yeah, I think it's looking pretty nice in 1080. They should have put Bangkok a little bit over. Pittsburgh, Richmond, Chicago, Kingston, Ottawa. Seems like a number, oh, Sudbury. A number of the main cities all line up on the grid, right? So these are roughly the halfway points for the red ones. See, the red mark really does do a lot of the leftover cities, right? Montreal, Sherbrooke, Rochester is almost on the grid. Seems like Toronto should have been there. Milton was pretty close. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit different from your traditional maps. St. Louis almost landed. See, St. Louis and Kansas City, it's like the map just needs to be shifted over just a bit. This point should really be over here just a little. Is when you shift it over just a little, Edmonton and Calgary and everything lines up. You can almost see the oval shapes where all of them are supposed to be. I wonder when people look at the Earth and they draw it, aren't they a little bit surprised how that looks like that? When you draw it on a gravity well map? It's like, is that just a coincidence? Yeah, if anyone wants to see their region of the gravity well lap, just let me know. Put it in the chat and I can bring it up. For me, I kind of like just looking at it some days. Adding the earthquakes is kind of neat too. If anyone's wondering, I haven't actually got a copy of my book back yet. When the book arrives, hopefully I'll be able to do some updates on the maps. Figure I'll map my old version, the one that goes by ancient sites. This current map version just goes by what our current prime meridian is marked at. If you change the location of the prime meridian, then the map formation would change. So really the prime meridian is key to solving this. I checked out the history about the guy who determined the prime meridian for what it's at today. And it's a little bit interesting. Doesn't really give any clue to how he deciphered it. Man, if I was drawing the prime meridian, I'd be tempted to just turn it a little bit slightly so that our globe would match up the line, right? Damn, that 90 almost came right on it. These drag point lines show up a few points. I like the Hawaii drag point. You can see how long the island chain has been shifting on the planet, and then at one point it did a 90. What caused the great 90 shift? Looks like the planet was spinning slower then too, because the mountains had more time to grow before the landmass shifted, making smaller and smaller islands. Wonder how big these islands would be if they were closer to the surface. They call them seamounts right now. During the ice age, when it sinks, the water level, bet you these would be islands, and much warmer. Man, the planet must have been wild back then. Getting to see all those islands fully above the ocean. Maybe it started to slow down again. That's why Hawaii's been above the water. Maybe it stopped shifting. Because for years and years it just kept moving and moving and moving, creating new islands or new volcanoes. I know this pattern because from my property up north, we've got the same pattern with volcanoes here. Like this volcano here, the Holy Mountain. It shifted a few times too. So it used to be over here, used to be over there. So there's occasions where it's been shifting along the surface too. So it's neat, not just the volcano of Hawaii does that. Wonder if it's the same shifting pattern. The planet's always been dragging this direction. That's why the volcanoes would go in that direction too. Could be. I like how you can see the evidence for the size from here to here has changed over time. Used to be the size from there to there, then from there to there, then from there to there. So you can judge the distance from here to here. Used to be the distance from there to there. How much it's grown over the years. Then there was that 90 shift. It used to be here, then it shifted 90. It'd be neat if we could play around with computer animations with the Earth and make it smaller and bigger and change where the land masses go. It'd be neat to take the whole globe and just shift it that 90 to see what it used to look like before it shifted. Where all the poles used to line up. take it and shift it. Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite gravity wells right here. Just off the southern tip of Somalia. Interacts with Kenya. It's a powerful one. Really stretches across all of Africa, right to Asia, right to the center core. There must be a powerful mountain range there. Islamabad must be a holy city of some type. So close to where the lines meet up. It's neat how there's a lake pretty much right where it lines up. This must be a holy lake. Rawal Lake. Looks like a nice region. Yeah, let's check out how the different earthquakes have been going in Europe lately. I like to turn Europe on its side to explore its earthquake history. And a couple earthquakes are showing up. The line that cuts the edge of Rome. Let's check out the Ring of Fire. Yeah, we did have that earthquake in Alaska. That wasn't too long ago. Oh yeah, the Idaho stretch. I don't know what's with this stretch here. It's quite a bit of earthquakes are always hitting there. The Idaho Salmon River Mountain stretch. Seems like the gravity well field through here is pretty strong. Salt Lake City is pretty close to the border. Hey, thanks for the likes, guys. Someone gave the test show a like. Alright, so yeah, Salt Lake City, Utah. That place must be quite a bit of energy there. Same energy that cuts through that mountain range. It's going through. Oh, there's another city, Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's on the crosshair of that line. Oaxaca. Wonder if this is a significant part of the desert. Does anyone know the gravity well center is here? Looks like a green spot right in the middle of the desert, right? That's pretty cool. I wonder if there's like some sort of oasis here. Kind of looks like it, eh? This green oasis. This road coming in. Oh, it's mountains and stuff, valleys. So if you can get here for a picture, looks like solar panels. Man, that's wild how it looks like you can see the layout of the ground. Whoa. Trippy. So there's a valley there. This green spot I'm standing on is like some sort of green plateau. Wow, that's wild. I wish you could zoom in and still have the map line on there without it vanishing, eh? So this green area does pretty much mark the spot. Wow, such a cool view of the planet. Yeah, so it looks like right where the tip is there. Looks like this trail or whatever is close to it. Whatever these circles are. Wonder if those circles unwillingly mark the spot. No, looks like it's a bit more over. Looks like this circle here is it. So almost where this fork in the road marks. This spot right there. I don't know, right up there. So this area. Either way, this green section. So this whole green section here is pretty much the energy well for that spot. Which makes me remember that other one. Which one is it in the States? I think it's the one with Mount Rushmore. Better spin it around so I can see it. I wonder, where was it? Ah, there. Yeah, so that's one of the ones that caught my eye. Lead, Nemo. It's like Lead and Nemo are both right on the lines, huh? Near Sundance. That range there is right on a gravity well. There's the earthquakes in Montana, near Great Falls. See if it'll show me where. Oh, it is. That is Mount Rushmore. I was thinking it was one of these gravity well central points. See, it's not right in the center, but they did put it near the edge of one, right? So not far off the line. Depending how fat you want to make the line, it might actually extend to it. But this gravity well central point, Mount Rushmore, I don't think it's a coincidence. Could be. Yeah, short bus pimp, but it's like a bunch of these lines intersect on mountains or hills. That's what I noticed, is that gravity well lines, they start to like rip open the continents where they're in most of the locations, and they're actually shaping the continents themselves. So much so that it breaks down all the rivers and mountain chains, start to form it. The one that's the most obvious is India. Because India and China here, you have this giant X pattern of mountains. So I'm pretty sure this X pattern didn't just show up here by accident, right on the X. Could be coincidence. Especially when you start looking at the arches and how the river ones are arching around. This is the mountain chain that connects all of the West Coast mountains. So it is kind of neat how it follows the line, huh? Yeah, Australia and India is the one that outlines it the best. Let's see. Oh, there it is. You can see Australia is cut out in the shape of it. Same with India, Africa. It's really starting to shape it. What I like too is that all the ancient maps used to use these style of maps before we switched to modern ones. So this is what the kind of maps olden day people had. But obviously they didn't have it on Google. Like the Perry Reese map, it's this style of, they called them Great Circle maps. If you want to make maps great again, switch to the old style. My favorite is how the cities all line up too. Pyongyang, Beijing, Hong Kong, Dakar. Bangkok's pretty close. I'm pretty sure like a lot of these cities being on the lines could just be a coincidence from the olden day map style. If everyone was using these maps in the old days, and maybe that's why. I don't know. Or like you were saying, the viewers were saying the mountain chain. If these lines are actually shaping the geography, well then our cities are going to be affected by the geography too. So that's why they would be along the lines. I like how it's the older cities usually that connect on it too. Now one of these days I'll get around to making my older version of the map, the one that uses ancient sites like the pyramids as the base lines for it. And that makes a pretty good map too. That's actually how I first discovered the pattern, but then I just switched it over to today's modern prime meridian because it makes it way easier to draw if you have some lines already well established. Now the neat part too is how the lines interact with the Earth's crust. Seems like that one isn't showing up. Should be continuing through there. I guess I'll turn off the red. That looks like a nightmare. The Earth crust line is interesting to follow with it. See, there is where the line is supposed to be. You can see it connecting through there and there. It's just loading slow. So if you turn on the red map, it almost arched right there. I'm still working on the red map. Yeah, the expanding Earth theory, one of the viewers was just commenting on that. That's what I was wondering. Because when I was checking, like, a lot of these patterns would fit better if the Earth was changing size. Like this one would probably line right up with that on this 90 arch if the planet was just a bit smaller. Then it would have used to line right up on there. The planet must have been changing. Especially this one up here too. Looking at the size of how big this is from there to there is really matching this arch here. So if it used to be smaller and smaller and smaller of an arch size, the planet used to be smaller and smaller and smaller at one point. And as it grew bigger and bigger, then the arch size from there to there started getting bigger and bigger as the crust shifted. Now it's neat to look at the ring of fire and look at what this pattern breaks down to. It's almost the same ring. The only thing that makes me wonder about the North Pole being the same size for a long time is you look at the size of this cube. The cube from there to there to there to there has been shaping the shape, and this continent or island mass used to connect in there and finish the rest of the cube. So it used to be a perfect cube at one point. So that cube pattern has pretty much been solid for quite a while, I'd say. And what caused the ice age and this shifting pole pattern is when this cube here got smashed. Now the pole does a drift in this pattern here. And that's where the ice age gets colder over on this side of the planet. That's why everything's bigger on the west coast. It's never been crushed by the ice. Only the east coast has to deal with it over and over. Alright, one of the viewers wants to see everything but red, so we'll check that out next. Red is the layer that's the most complex. As you can see, every time I add a layer, it cuts it in half, and then red cuts it in half again. So when you're cutting it in half and in half and in half, it gets harder and harder and more complex to draw it. But I'll leave on, just like he said, just the red layer. That one's pretty trippy. I don't think I've looked at just the red layer too much. And the plate line is the official NASA or whatever it is, OGS line. It's where they believe the Earth crust is. You can just see it in most of the spots. Like their outlines are pretty good. Ooh, look at the wobble I got there. There's a mistake. That shouldn't be such of an arch like that. That should be a straight line. See, it's not so easy to connect all these lines straight on the globe. Yeah, what I'm planning to do is once I reach 1,000 viewers or subscribers, I'll release the file for everyone to add it to Google Earth. I kind of want to release a step video on how to make it yourself too, just in case anyone wants to make it themselves and see if they can get the red line pattern better. Cutting the red lines in half again is really hard to do and still have it go straight. And it's funny, you can still make out the gravity well center points a little bit, on each one. Oh, it's outlining the edge of the field. Now the neat thing is, it's not only the Earth that has this field pattern on it, but each planet and each moon. You can see that even our moon, you see how this, well, what is it, I'll go back to the yellow for a sec. See how the yellow is like our prime meridian and equator lines? And how a lot of the ridges match up? Or at least they used to at some points. Like that one does, this one here. If you check the moon, it has giant ridge lines on its equators too. And it's like prime meridians. So I'm like, it's not just the Earth, it's the other planets have it too. So we'll be able to calculate the gravity well fields on other planets and stuff. Which we don't even really know too much about what they share about on the Earth, other than that they affect the weather and earthquakes, mountains. I like how the clouds usually spin around them. Then you can see all this data patterns isn't exactly mapped up exactly either. I don't know why they always have these issues around the poles. Guess they're trying to stitch it together and get everything straight too. It's not so easy. So I'm going to have a book that's arriving in the mail soon by Piri Reese, and he studied these Great Circle maps extensively. He's the person who drew most of the best ones. So once I get a copy of his book from Turkey, I'll try to update my research and share how it relates to that. Maybe I'll try different layers. Blue is kind of a neat layer. Yeah, I was going to say blue is the one that really outlines the shape of Asia and why it's its shape. You can really see it, eh? Now every time I go to draw the continents, I have a better idea of the different center points of each one and how each landmass used to be full triangle shaped. At one point, I don't know why they got smashed up, right? They probably fit identically to the gravity well pattern at one point. This used to be a triangle landmass that connected to the other side. You can see how the other white landmass here used to connect to make the island shape here. Used to make a big square dome at the top. This is where the ice age shift is. This track here. When the pole shifts from there to there to there, that's the ice age. Right now it shifted since we started tracking it, the 1800s, from there to there to there. Now it's going to start moving its way back this way. I think this used to be our old North Pole during the peak of the Ice Age. Or maybe not that far. Somewhere between there and there. And on the opposite side of the globe, you can turn off all the lines. And that's where the pattern shifts on the bottom, back and forth. So Ice Age hits really bad here at some points, then switches back and forth. Each line color significance. Yeah, I'll do that. You know what's a really neat one is this. If you look at the South Pole and South America, it makes that shape. And then you look at Australia in Southeast Asia, and it makes the same shape. It's because they're actually halves of the same giant South Pole that we used to have. So we used to have one giant mega South Pole, and there's where it's split in half. Alright, so not to get too sidetracked, but if you're ever wondering why we have two South Poles, or why we used to, I think we still do, and that's the Ice Age pattern. It's just going to keep switching back and forth. That's why they find tropical remains under the ice under South Antarctica, and vice versa. There used to be ice here. Alright, so to go over the significance of each line, the yellow line pattern is the most basic out of all of them. You have the equator and the prime meridian. And those are calculated by, well, the equator is calculated by the, the solstice point and those sundials or whatever. So that's how they can calculate the equator. And the prime meridian is the other one that divides the Earth the other way. And it's the one that, was some famous explorer. He marked where it is. I don't think he ever gave his reasoning of why he picked it there, but I bet you he picked it because the older maps had it there. I could be wrong about that, but... Oh yeah, and then the other main thing about these yellow line patterns is each of them also marks already established map points. Like this one's the equator, this one is the tropic lines, the other one is like the Cancer lines. Here, I'll show what they are. You can see it with the regular lines once you add them. No, that's not it. There we go. So you can see that yellow line marks the Tropic of Cancer. That yellow line marks the Arctic Circle. So these are actually already well-established points, and each of these tropic lines are also measured by the solstice and equinox. So a lot of these lines aren't even made up. So really, once you start, if you take off all the established lines, the only ones that are really added new are the halfway points. Like the older traditional map, they don't mark this one. The halfway point between the Tropic of Cancer or Capricorn and the Arctic Circle. So they don't have that one marked. So that's where you can see my map differs in quite a bit of gravity well maps or ley line maps, is it actually uses traditional lines in a lot of cases. It shares quite a few of them that are the same. Right, so I think that's it for grid. So that's the yellow lines. And then once you draw on the other lines, their significance is it just draws them all in half. So it takes all the other line points and adds halfway points. So now each yellow point is divided in half by a blue one. And then once you add the red layer, same thing. I bet you could keep adding more and more layers. That's how complex gravity wells really are, but this is just like the base layer, the most complex, and so forth. Yeah, and the same thing with a lot of these other lines that are coming down off the center. They were already established by the regular globe too. I can show you them. See, what I do is take the blue line and match it exactly with right next to some. Boy, there's a little bit of wobbles in some of them. I gotta correct some of that. This yellow line should be over a bit. We'll add red. See, for a lot of cases, I was able just to copy existing lines. Thank God that the prime meridian and the equator line lined up enough with traditional maps. Oh, Marion Gameplays says hi, friend. Hey, man. Now I'm just testing out my gravity well map in HD to see how it works. I think it's working okay. I'm just doing an hour-long stream, so I got only a few minutes left if anyone else has questions. Now, in the old days, they used to call these maps Great Circle maps, if you want to look them up. Google has quite a bit of writings. They said they were known for their cartographic accuracy, something like that. My favorite is this one, how it outlines Australia, then the Asia tips, and the mountain chains here. It really makes you wonder, like, how long has Asia been this shape? Because it matches the shape of it pretty good, right? It reminds me of that fat woman shape that you see in the museums. The goddess figure. Oh, a second like. Thanks, guys. I was hoping maybe the new higher resolution would help get some likes. Now, if anyone else likes the ridge lines, there's a good one for the South Pole. I think the Mother Goddess was cool. The South Pole makes up a brain. The brain stem is inside of a head, and the head is outlined by the tectonic plates. Isn't that wild, or what? So that's what I was thinking, there is quite a bit of symbology in the Earth itself. And the other one I like is not only is North America from the First Nations history, they talk about it as being a turtle. You can see the turtle shape. And the legend says that they had to tie the head of a giant to the turtle's tail. And then you look at the giant's head, and it turns out it's an elephant. And just where the tear happens to be is marked on the lines. That's where the elephant's eye is. And then the Amazon River is its tears coming down from where it was killed. Isn't that fucking trippy or what? The weirdest thing is that elephant's head used to be attached up here, and this was the whole elephant's body. Elephant head used to be here. There was its leg, its front leg, its back legs, and the elephant's tail and butt. It's a pretty wild legend, but it makes me wonder if the giants really are true. We just don't understand them yet. Yeah, it's a pretty fucking trippy pattern once you put it on full blast, right? Dividing all the earth into halves and halves and halves again. Right, thanks everyone for watching the video. I'll try to keep some more Leyline videos coming soon. Maybe once I reach that 1,000 sub mark, I can share the file and everyone can get a copy of it, and we can get some people helping to tweak it so that more of the lines are more accurate. Because as you can tell, it's not so easy to draw it perfectly straight. Alright, take care everyone. Thanks for all the great questions. From who do we got? What's up, Q? Marion Gameplays. Short Bus Pimp. Yeah, it was pretty wild. Getting quite the in-depth conversations going in the chat. Appreciate that, guys. Alright, bye for now. See you later. Here's 3 video links, if I can link them at the end.